Hi, welcome to June's edition of Ammielle's Area. Thank you so much for being here. This update is pretty short, but I'll just be going over what I'm working on, what I learned, and what I appreciated. Today, July 5th, was the first day of my summer research internship at the Hospital for Sick Children. I briefly mentioned it in my last newsletter for June, but today was my official start date, and I will be working on computational neuroscience. Right now, I'm also participating in the Summer 2021 Stanford Biome webinar series presented by the Biological Interdisciplinary Open Maker Environment with the Stanford Bioengineering Department. Joining these weekly webinars allows me to meet fellow students who are interested in bioengineering, as well as to learn how to design and engineer DNA. And although my year at the Knowledge Society is over, I'll be participating in a summer consulting challenge with BenchSci, a company using machine learning to advance biomedical research. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to share my recommendation in my July newsletter. At Ending Maternal Mortality, we recently held an advisory board meeting for insightful discussions for different aspects of our intervention. We welcomed a dozen maternal and public health experts, and it was such a valuable event. I've been on summer vacation for 2 weeks, and I have spent most of my time consuming various forms of media, whether that be books, movies, shows, soccer matches, and music. There's so much I couldn't watch and read during the school year that I now can thanks to my free time. So I've been reading regularly, and I hope to continue this habit over the summer break. Any suggestions for books that are diverse, thought-provoking, or funny are welcome. I learned 3 main lessons this month. The first one being that good things don't last forever. Everything in life comes to an end. Sometimes it feels like things are abundant and endless, but they're not. Recognizing that things are temporary and fleeting allows me to appreciate the good and push through the bad. My second lesson comes from Bo Burnham's recent special called Inside, where he said that self-awareness doesn't absolve anyone of anything, and I realized that self-awareness doesn't hold much value unless I'm actively working on improving my mistakes and flaws and growing and becoming a better person. So now whenever I detect undesirable behavior in myself, I try to implement different mechanisms and strategies to avoid repeating my behavior. My third lesson is to check the weather forecast for your destination. In my recent road trip, I forgot to check the weather forecast, even though the app is already on my phone. Although I assumed the weather would be sunny and warm, it was very gloomy and cold, and so instead of making assumptions, no matter how reasonable they are, it's better to take steps to validate or invalidate my assumptions with objective and reliable information whenever possible. On to my appreciations. There are so many people I have to thank for the opportunities I have, but I want to showcase 4 pieces of content that I really enjoyed. First is a paper on the applications of quantum computing and biomedical research in structural bioinformatics. Next is the soundtrack to the In the Heights movie. After recommending the trailer in my March newsletter and the musical in my November newsletter, I finally watched it, and I tell you, this movie did not disappoint. My favorite song of the playlist right now is Home All Summer. In my newsletter, I also include an article created based on my 5 pieces of advice following my webinar last month with my blueprint on my self-starter summer, so I highly recommend checking it out. I have this Google Chrome extension that provides me with a nice quote and picture whenever I open a new tab. I really appreciate visualized value. This brings me to the end of my newsletter. I appreciate you for checking in. I'm so excited for summer, and we'll see you soon.